Hi, Paul Hefty here, talking our leadership philosophy series. We're looking at the third step in the process is now strategies for leadership. Let's take a look. All right, as we talk about strategies for leadership application, the key point here is to understand where your team is, where your culture is, and what their needs are. And this is called team readiness or situational leadership. So a real common process with any group or organization, doesn't have to be of a sort, is you go through these 4 phases of forming, storming, norming, and performing. And it's just kind of the natural process, but more importantly, you as a leader need to know where your group is at, and then you can apply a different style or needs at that time for the group. So here's a visual of it. The first step is that forming. You come together, and you can see when you first start, just like it is for a class or any organization, there's more of a commander style because there just needs to be some instruction of what are the expectations, what are the norms, and to help develop a culture. The second phase, though, commonly then is this storming, and it's not really this infighting, but it's more the building of that trust and respect, and that goes through just time and experience. Some people are going to question, people want to know why, and that's part of that process. Once you work through that, and again, that can be at different times throughout a competitive season in sport, but typically it starts right away. Once you get through that, though, and that's the key part, is then you start to normalize as a group, and now you can actually shift to more of a transformational democratic type coach where the players have a lot of input because the trust and the respect is developed. And then lastly, I'd argue when you really are successful and you're going to perform at a really high level, you actually have flipped it, and you can be even at a college level. I did this as a head coach. By the end of the season, really I got to be more of a fan because the staff members in the organization, assistants, your leaders, again, we were all on the same page, and we're going to say the same things I would have done as a leader, but it's more meaningful when it comes from within. All right, now that we understand team readiness and those 4 stages and how you can apply situational leadership, we have to go and examine some major objectives in sport that you're going to need to define, given your personal definition, obviously support it, and that's where this role model research comes in. But then third, most importantly, give some concrete illustrations or examples of how you're going to develop it. So the first one is, what's your definition of winning? And what I mean there would be success more than anything else. Great example I like to talk of, it's a quest for excellence. But again, you come up with your own definition, support that through quality research, and then provide some concrete examples of how you would develop that. Second one is fun. And why is that important? Because motivation right now, research shows that people are motivated, number one, if they're having fun more than anything else, even in highly competitive environments. So again, provide your definition of fun, support that through some quality research, and then some concrete examples of how you would apply it, again, to your group, specifically the age group or the type of organization you're working with. And then last is total development. And what's important here is this last objective, development, has got 3 parts where you need to do TRI. Give me your definition, your thesis statement on physical development, psychological and social development. Then for each of them, support that with a quality reference or in-text citation to give that credibility. And then third, for each of them, provide a strong illustration of how you would do that. Now, don't be general in your illustrations. Give specific examples of how you're going to develop them physically, psychologically, and socially. Again, this provides kind of that vision for success, and it starts to set some goals and a plan for everybody involved. As always, I like to look at definitions, so let's look at winning first from dictionary. It's again to achieve victory in a contest, or maybe just effort, or maybe it's just to win a contest. Successful, when we look at that, another way to talk about winning is just having that desired result, ending in success. I really like the term of excellence, where we're just going to strive for a high quality. Basically, you're providing the best that you have, and that's not much more we can ask. So as we talk about success versus excellence, Joe Paterno had some great quotes. This is one of the pillars of success with honor. He talked about is excellence is something that is lasting and dependable and largely within a person's control. Success is perishable and is often outside of our control. A person that is fascinated by quality is excited when he sees it in others also. So it's a great way to talk about success isn't necessarily the product, but striving for excellence in the process. Another great example is Pete Carroll. He uses this win forever philosophy. He's the head football coach with the Seattle Seahawks. Again, it's important when you study, just like the Joe Paterno quote previously and then Pete Carroll, that good and the bad of all these people involved. Usually no one's perfect and we've got some flawed moments. So we need to make sure we take that into account as we start to look at these different philosophies too. But again, Pete Carroll uses kind of this pyramid where he starts with, on the right there, belief in the system. That's that trust and respect. Then he wants to throw in some competition, which is going to make people strive to improve. And then you want to create that great positive culture and environment. And then as we talked about team readiness, you're going to perform at a high level, the fourth stage. When we talk about fun, it's just something that's enjoyable. I think we all know this in different work environments. If the work environment's fun, even if the work is very hard or demanding, we want to go. We want to be there. We want to show up. So it's about enjoyment. Now, what's important as leaders is we make sure, even though it's fun, we create a safe environment over everything, safety first. Another part that's great about sport is hopefully you've got some people that enjoy competition, and that's the challenge is part of the development and fun. And last, just the opportunity. If people know they have an opportunity to advance or progress, then usually that creates an enjoyable experience too. Last, when we talk about development, again, physically, we're talking about not just physical fitness or conditioning, but talking about developing good health habits as leaders, especially in youth sports. We want to make sure we're doing things where we talk about nutrition. Maybe we talk about just lifestyles, acceptance, all of those different things. So creating a safe learning environment that can be used the rest of our life. Psychologically, big thing we're talking here is, and this gets back to motivation, is we want to make sure that you're teaching people how to control their emotions in a highly emotional activity like sport. And what that does, it helps them develop these feelings of self-worth. And that's usually how that buy-in happens. If everybody feels they have a role and they're having fun, then usually you have a highly motivated individual and team. And lastly, socially, you're going to have people in the organization that really aren't there for more than anything else than to being part of that group and that social environment. And you have to decide if that's okay or not. I would argue that creating a great social environment is going to be able to create some fun. And again, now you're going to have motivated people in the organization. Some great resources here as you try to find some references to support and provide credibility in your definitions is ASEP. It's American Sport Education Program. And they just talk about this kind of having a mantra where it's athletes first, winning second, and providing education to put the philosophy in work. And we've all heard this process versus product, but I believe it's a simple way to look at it also. So as you start to put this all together, a great exercise is just to first examine what will be your emphasis. On the left, again, we talked about the importance of fun, of learning and participation, but also your organization, or you may feel it's important to win and be successful. And then some of that is based on performance, and part of that is participation then by the best. So again, the one on the left is more of a recreational sport model, and the one on the right more a competitive sport model. But think of how you want to develop and assess your objectives, what's important for your team, And then again, excellence, quest for versus success. How do you want to define that? I would argue that at any level, it can be a combination of both, but you again go back to your personality, your belief system, and support that. And that's the key. Don't write or develop a philosophy based on what you think you should do, but on what you believe you are truly about. Last thing to consider is there are some society objectives we got to look at, and again, it's where society or the community values winning versus development. Again, what's your emphasis going to be? The example would be, I've been fortunate to coach all the way down to youth levels, elementary to volunteering, working at the 9th grade level at the high school, and then as a college coach. And then obviously getting to teach at Penn State, see it from major Division I program. Again, remember, winning is a short-term goal. That's the product. It can be important, but the process and striving to win and quest for excellence is kind of where we've got to be in order to get to that product. So question 1, what is your long-term goal? Question 2, what is your program's emphasis? And are they compatible or conflicting? That's the key as you write this. You want to make sure you answer. Just to give you an example, this is one of the definitions of leadership, way I would describe it and have in the past as a coach, as a leader. I use the 5 E's, and where we want to empower and engage everyone to be a leader. And that means we're transforming the power to all so that the team evolves or grows, and we're striving for excellence in the process. So really what we've been examining here is for you to decide what is leadership. Make sure you develop your own definitions. That's your thesis statements, your own words. But do your homework and your research where that can support those definitions with in-text citations and then references, quality, credible references. Go back to those role models. And number 3, more importantly than anything else, though, is to talk about how you're going to make this happen. Give concrete examples so that you can create a vision for everyone inside or outside of the program to understand how you're going to do this as a leader. Good luck. Go get started.